I'm gonna give you some of my best tips for growing vegetables in a raised bed, and I've been doing this here in this spot, I know, for 3 or 4 years, and I've learned a lot of stuff. Before this, I had a place up at the house that me and my son built, and that was a disaster, and I learned a lot from that. So I'm gonna give you all my tips, and hopefully you'll be successful. I know a lot of people saying about gardening, and because of the high prices of food, it's okay. Like I said, if you watch my previous video, I've got these on the cheap. I got a new raised bed right back here that is not cheap. It's a 3x5, 2 foot tall, and you're thinking I probably won the lottery or something, but I didn't. My in-laws bought that for me. So anyway, I appreciate it, and you can see that's a real nice thing. We'll go look at it in just a minute. So the thing, if you're thinking about doing a garden and you're thinking about a raised bed, this is some of the reasons why you would want a raised bed. One thing, it gets it up off the ground. If you have like a wet area, you can put it in here, get your vegetables out of the soaking wet. Number two, you can control the soil. You get better soil. Like the reason I grow here in raised beds, because I have a really hard clay, and it's hard for my carrots to grow. So I grow all my carrots and beets in these raised beds here, and that's what I use them for. And also, you're getting a little older, like I am. It's a little easier to work on. You don't have to get on your knees. You don't have to bend over. And this one right here is really going to be nice. You see how tall it is. We'll go look at it in just a minute. So that's why you want to. If you're thinking about doing it, you're going to raise your own veggies. That's why you would want a raised bed. So this is not container gardening. Container gardening is like in a 5-gallon bucket or a nursery pot. This is basically gardening. You're just raising your soil up, and we'll go look at this in a minute, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. You can see the bottom of that raised bed is open, so it's just like your garden here. So all you're doing is raising that garden up to you a little bit to get it out of a bad situation. So you don't treat it like a container, like you're going to grow in a container. You wouldn't treat it like that. You more or less treat this like a garden. And I'm going to show you how I fill this up. And of course, I did some in the last video. I just kind of used soil that I had I want to get rid of. I actually went and bought some today, and we'll kind of look at it, and I'll give you my thoughts on that. So, and another thing, my next pro tip is when you plant stuff in here, and I've got some carrots back here growing. Let's go back here and look. So you can see I got some nice carrots growing here. And when we first did this up at the house, I've been gardening in dirt for a while at that point, maybe even 10 years. And the biggest thing you got to remember, you got to water this more than you would a regular garden. For whatever reason, the moisture goes out a lot bit. And that's one of the reasons I put wood chips in there. Another reason, and I'm going to show you, we're going to fill this one up with wood chips up to a certain part. Wood chips will soak that moisture in, then when it gets really hot, it'll release some of it. So that kind of helps a little bit, but you still got to wash. I water this every day. I've got some just coming up over here. You can see them right here, just coming up. I water this every day. Every morning I come down here and water these. And that way I ain't got to worry about it. So that's one thing you got to keep in mind. You got to, like out in my main garden over here, I've got some broccoli, cabbage, stuff like that. And I water them every day. Their plant starts. And then now they're to the stage I don't water them every day. I kind of water them. Right now I water them every other day. And then eventually, if we ever get any rain, I won't have to water them. But eventually I'll water them every 3 or 4 days. So once I get a little more size on them. So, but just keep that in mind. You got to water this. And another tip I'm going to say, even though I do grow, these are in rows. If I was growing a complete vegetable garden here, I would think of growing in blocks. So just say I want to do a 2x1 foot block, and I'm going to put as many tomatoes as I can get in there, at least 4. Next block, peppers, 4 more peppers. Next block, or grid, or think of it as a grid system. You don't necessarily just want to just put a row of tomatoes all the way down there. You want to maximize this. So think of doing it in the grid, and there's a lot of good stuff about how many online about how many tomatoes and certain types of tomatoes that you grow that you can put here, how many peppers you can put here. Carrots, of course, I put my carrots in a row. To me, I'm kind of OCD about that. I tried that on that back spot. I got beets growing back there, but I tried that last fall just to kind of random, and it just drove me crazy. So I can't do that. But if you're just starting out, if I was growing vegetables in here, I would do it in a grid style. So that's another tip I've got. Let's talk about, this is probably going to be one of your biggest expenses, is filling these beds. So let's talk about this. This is a 2-foot tall bed. My other ones are 1 foot tall. Now they're a lot cheaper than this one. But I'm gonna fill this up all the way probably up to about this far with this wood chips I have. And these wood chips back there are 3 years old. Fill them up with wood chips. You can take old rotten logs and throw in there, twigs, break them up, throw them in the bottom. Any kind of disposable, biodegradable product you can put in there. Now I wouldn't put, somebody asked me the other day about putting hay in there. I would be afraid of hay because of the weed seeds. The weeds will come up and you'll have a raised bed full of weeds. So even though it does decompose, and even though I do it in my compost pile, I'll put hay with mixed up manure, and I'll show you some of that here in a minute. That's a different situation, a different video. So the main thing is put something in there that will decompose. I thought about those compressed bags of pine shavings you can get at Tractor Supply. That would be a good cheap way to put in here. That's all natural, and that breaks down really quick. Maybe some kind of mulch, you know, these 5 for 10 mulch that was not dyed, or just a natural thing you could put in here. That would be a good cheap thing to put in here, something like that. So that's the main thing, is you don't have to fill this all up with dirt. You can if you want to, but it's going to cost you a fortune. And now before you even start, you need to put you down some weed barrier down there. And people's going to say, well, weeds ain't going to come up through there. They will. Weeds will go anywhere. I'm telling you, weeds will grow anywhere. So I've got the weed fabric underneath this mulch down here, so you can put you some weed fabric, cardboard. If you use cardboard, make sure you take the tape off, because it's kind of got something toxic in it. So just put down plain cardboard without the tape. That works really well, because it'll eventually break down and turn into mulch, and it'll let your worms up through. I'm not so sure the weed fabric will let worms come up through. I'm pretty sure that it won't, but that's the trade-off I'm willing to go, because I don't want to put cardboard in all this area. So, and then after you do the bottom, make sure you got a good weed barrier, then we're going to fill this up. So I'm going to fill this up, and I'll show you the level, and I'm not going to bore you with me shoveling, but let's get that done, and then we'll talk about the most important thing, the soil. I've got this filled with wood chips, and I'm feeling a little higher than I want to, because it will settle. I mean, it'll settle a bunch, especially if you get a rain or two. So that's why I've got it up. You know, it's about, I'll put that much dirt in there to start with, and then it'll settle, and then you know, we'll have about 9 or 10 inches of good dirt there for now, and then eventually we'll all this will turn to dirt. And go back on my other video, I dug down on that one that's been in service for 3 years, and you can see all the wood chips turned to like a composting dirt. So that's done. Now this is my #1 tip on raised beds, is the dirt. Remember how I said this is just like we're growing in ground, just raised up? So you don't want to put none of that potting soil in here. You don't want to put none of that expensive raised bed soil in here. I got this at Lowe's today, 5 for 10. It says flower and garden fertilizer, soil plus fertilizer. Don't put too much in the fertilizer because it's like a 0.05, 04, 03. That don't mean nothing. That's not enough fertilizer to do anything. But this says for in-ground gardening. And we're going to cut this open and we're going to mix it a little bit. And we're going to throw it in here, and you can see, that's why I say this is just like growing in the ground. Don't buy that expensive dirt that you got. I priced one bag at Lowe's today when I got this. I got these 5 for 10, like I said. And they're cubic feet, so I got 5 cubic feet of topsoil. And I got 2 cubic feet of soil conditioner. At one point I would have said mix this with some bag compost. And now I don't say that anymore because I do not trust that compost, and I'm going to do a video on it Sunday, tomorrow. Watch this on Saturday. I mean, no, you watch this on Wednesday. So Sunday I'm doing a video on persistent herbicide and why I don't use anybody's compost but my own anymore. And I've got some of my own here. This wasn't quite ready. I turned it over this morning like a dummy. And I've got some weeds in there, but I'll show you that in a second. So my biggest tip is get the cheapest thing you can find. Like I did these, whatever I had here, I didn't buy anything to do these 4 beds I did the other day. I just used what I had. I had some raised bed mix. I had some old peat moss. Had some of this old soil I bought like 2 or 3 years ago. I just mixed it all together and I throw it in there and it looks great. It'll do great. So, but what I was saying and what I used to say, you go 40% topsoil or dirt, 40% compost, and then 20% like perlite, coarse sand, something like that to give it a little bit of drainage. Now I'm going to use the soil conditioner for the drainage part. You can use perlite, and I have perlite, but I do not use that bag compost. So this is my compost here, and you can see how good it looks. Look at that. But like I said, I turned it over today, and it's got a few little weeds in it, but that's all right. I'm going to do it anyway. Smells good. Ready to go. So that's kind of what you want. I know for a fact that has no herbicides in it because it came from this farm. I don't use herbicides at all. So I'm not worried about that. That's what I'm saying. Be careful where you get your compost from. So I'm going to cut up a couple bags of these, or maybe even 4 bags. I don't know. I'm going to say 1 bag. I got to have something ready. I got some apple trees I planted I need. So let's see what it looks like. If I didn't buy this, I would probably just use my compost. I'm just going to use it straight. I got 2 more of these beds that came in a 3-pack. So this will pretty much fill this side up. And I just need a few to go this side. Yeah, it's okay, look. It's not looks kind of like mulch, you know. But it'll work. We're going to doctor her up. I feel like I got a pretty good mix here. And it smells pretty good. When you add all that compost in there, and, it looks really good. It smells really good. All right. Hopefully that's enough to put in there and fill this up. And it took 1.5 buckets of wood chips to fill that up. That's quite a bit. So I'm gonna shovel this in there and rake her down, and we'll see. That soil conditioner, I just used half a bag of this. So got it all in here. Actually, it worked out just right. It's right at the level I want it to be. And I mean, it smells amazing. It smells, you know, I don't know, it just smells fresh or something. Or something for the compost. tickled to death with this. I was actually when they told me they was gonna buy some new beds for me, I thought, well, we got some rhubarb going and some asparagus, but I like this height a lot better, so I'm just gonna put my carrots in here. I'll use one of these lower beds for that. Like I said, I got 2 more, so I'll probably just fill those with straight compost out of my pile. Like I said, I just turned it over this morning, wasn't thinking. Get a little grass on top, and I turn it over and it kind of kills it. Or weeds, it's not grass. And I'm tickled to death with that. All right, that's all the tips I know. I can't think of any more. Short video, I guess. But this is a 3x6x2. I don't know if I said that. My other ones the little ones are 2x4x1, 2x10x1 on the ones on the big ones behind you. So I'll have to leave room around these. That's another thing. Don't put. It's another tip I just thought of. Kind of leave space where you can walk around, because it'd hurt your back working way over there. So you have to walk around this one. The next one I'll space them out where I can walk all the way around them. Them over there I put too tight, I think. But you can reach across them. Not that big a deal. This one's a little different. Might even plant carrots on this in the next video. Alrighty. So something I left out or something you don't understand, let me know. Said on my next garden series tip, I think I'll do one on persistent herbicides and why I don't use compost. That'll be Sunday. I mean, it just worries me to death, because you can see here, spend money on your raised bed, spend time on your chips, and I didn't have to buy them, they gave them to me, but you know, you got to shovel them in there, and I bought about $4 worth of dirt, $2 worth of soil conditioner, used my own compost. But if you was buying all this, I mean, you'd have some money in here, and if you put it in there and it comes up big, what happens, it comes up to a certain size and it turns yellow and dies. So you don't know it till the end, till it's too late. And by then some kind of bug in there. By then you know it's too late to start, it's too late in the season. So that's why I'm just worried to death about it. And that's why I don't even buy anything. It says compost on it. And I looked on it today, and tune in Sunday, I looked on the label and everything, and we'll talk about that. All right, if anything left off, you can leave a comment, send me an email. I think this is pretty much 100% organic. I don't know if it is or not. I don't know. Don't pay attention to that fertilizer. That's another tip. 0.05, 0.04. That's even below organic fertilizer. I mean, that's weak. So anyway, here I am rambling. I'm just dragging this video out. Give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, share this video with your friends, support your local farmer. We'll see you down here at the farm in the next video.